Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today I wanted to talk a bit about this Unity Tactical fast LPVO mount that I got fairly recently, had a good bit of time behind it. To start, I want to talk a bit about the installation, which just up front, I'm not going to be showing the actual installation in this video because personally I feel like there's plenty of other videos on YouTube that already show how to install a scope mount. This is no different, it's a very normal process of installation. And also, what's very cool is they have very well written instructions that you can get to by accessing a QR code that is just on the box that this comes with. It just opens a PDF, which is awesome because I usually just end up scanning all the instructions and just getting rid of the paper copies anyway and just leaving them on my computer. But to mention a few things about the installation, one thing I do really like, a lot of minor stuff I'll be talking about here. It's all small and rather nitpicky, but if you take a look right here, we've got Torx head screws, which I quite like. A very good method of attachment. Most scopes, of course, just use standard hex key, but I do like Torx head a little bit more. As for how this attaches to the rail itself, again, Torx. And additionally, one other thing I like that you can't see because of how this is set up, how it covers the rail entirely, you do have two recoil lugs here, which I'll show from before I actually installed this. Another thing I find interesting about the installation of this is in the installation instructions they actually explicitly say not to use any Loctite, which I was rather surprised about because on all the other scope mounts I've used, I've always put on Loctite on every single fastener, but in this case, they explicitly said don't use any locking compounds. So I did it, and I was kind of, I guess, skeptical of that. But shot quite a bit with this, and it hasn't loosened up whatsoever. Everything is holding nice and firm. Everything is torqued down. They do have a torque rating. They kind of have it below here, again, where those lugs are. They have the numbers there, and you also have it right here, which I have upside down right now because it doesn't matter, and it's also on the installation instructions. And I got this all torqued down properly. You can see there's a little bit of a gap right here. I wanted to kind of point that out because I know a few people think that you need to snug these down to where there's no gap whatsoever. That's not the case. Don't actually do that. You'll crush the scope. Just do whatever the torque setting is. Some higher end scopes have a specific torque rating, which of course if that's lower than the scope mount's rating, you would follow that. In this case, this is just an ACSS optic, which I will actually eventually be replacing, but it doesn't really have any specific torque instructions. Pretty normal that way. So just follow the torque specifications on this tactical mount, and what you want to just kind of look for is a little bit of gap is fine. You just want to make sure it's even on both sides, which you can see it is. So that's quite good there. So that kind of covers everything for the installation. It was very straightforward. I just think any scope mount installation is a little bit tedious just to make sure everything's level and all of that, but it was fine. It was completely normal, and a lot of people have already talked about you get a more modern shooting stance, more of a heads-up position, and these types of higher mounts lend themselves very well to doing that sort of thing. Even just a few months ago, I was a bit against the idea of getting this high of a mount. I was thinking of getting a 1.9 for a while, but I didn't want to go above a 2, which now I slightly have. But actually, I'm really, really liking this height. As I said, it is conducive to a modern shooting stance. It's a lot more comfortable, especially if you're wearing like a helmet or a plate carrier, which is something that Unity Tactical also points out on their site when you're looking at this mount. It makes it a lot more comfortable to do that. For me personally, I do like this more modern shooting stance, but also I have a few neck problems, so getting nice and high up, it doesn't like hurt my neck for the rest of the day after shooting, which was something I noticed was happening a lot on this AR. So I kind of, when I found out about this mount, I kind of urgently switched to it so I could actually shoot this much more comfortably, and haven't had any of those issues with my neck since, so that's really good. Next I want to talk a bit about the color. So Unity does make these mounts in tan, or sort of FDE, as well as in black. Lately I kind of just get everything in a tan color. This is an actual anodized finish, which is really cool. I always prefer that over Cerakote personally, because just haven't had the best experiences with, well, I should say I've had mixed experiences with some Cerakote just coming off like crazy. Like on this safety here, you can probably see it's kind of turning silver around the edges. A lot of the Cerakote there is coming off. And I've had a few other parts that I've kind of had a similar experience with, but actual anodization is really nice. However, as for a color comparison, so this isn't really an FDE. I mean, it is tan. It's like kind of a goldish looking color. You can see it has a little bit of gloss to it, which is normal for anodization, just ever so slightly. And I have my rifle painted in a camo pattern, just kind of a brownish, tannish green. And it doesn't match the best. It's not something I particularly care about, but it is something I wanted to point out. But to compare it with an actual FDE, so I have another rifle here. This is a 6.5. This is an actual FDE. So you can see here, FDE BCM for comparison, and then you have an Odinworks upper, all on FDE as well. There we go. Moved things around so you can hopefully see it a bit better. So you can see it is a lot more yellow than your actual FDE. Personally, I don't mind it at all. I don't really care about having extremely close color matches. I know of quite a few people, though, that do, so it might be something you want to keep in mind. For me, I just kind of wanted something that is tan-ish, so that it blends in a bit better than just having a huge black blob up here. Although I still kind of do, because the scope is that color, but it doesn't really matter. So getting pretty close here to the end of the video, so one more thing I wanted to talk about was about some others that I was comparing this to. So for the longest time, I actually didn't even know that Unity made LPVO mounts. I know that they make red dot mounts and EOTech risers and all that, but I just kind of assumed that was all they did. But I was just shopping around because I was looking for the longest time for a Badger Ordnance or a Geissele mount. That was kind of what I had set my mind onto. This right here is a Badger Ordnance mount, though this is in their 1.5 inch standard height configuration. And I really like it. It holds up really well. It has a lot of torque on the rail, which is one thing I wanted to mention. As far as a resilient mount goes, I think this locking, or not really locking, but this clamping mechanism onto the rail itself, where you just have these two pretty big lugs or bolts that just go directly in, is a lot stronger. Although admittedly, I haven't had any issues, of course, as I mentioned, with this either. This has been really sturdy too. You have 3 points of contact here, or 3 screws, and you only have the 2 up there on the Badger, or on a Geissele, same sort of thing. I had to move things around again to get them in frame, but anyway, so yeah, the main reason that I selected this Unity mount over a Badger or the Geissele, as I was mentioning, which were the 2 I was most heavily considering, is ultimately actually just whatever came in stock first. I was looking for months for these Badger Ordnance and the Geissele mounts in tan, in their 1.9 inch heights, and just wasn't able to find it. So I just kind of happened across this when I was looking at a bunch of different sites to see if they were in stock, and just saw that this existed, and I knew about Unity before from their risers and all that, so decided to get it, and I've been really liking it. This has held up really well, and it's extremely comfortable to shoot with. I haven't owned any of these higher LPVO mounts prior to this, but I love it, and I would definitely recommend a higher mount. It doesn't necessarily have to be this one, but this one is certainly holding up well for me. So just wanted to talk a bit about this mount because it's been holding up well for me, and it's pretty cool, I think. So that's about all I got. Let me know if you have any other questions about this mount or anything else. Otherwise, thank you all for watching. Take care, and I will see you all in the next one.